Okay, I'll go ahead and get it started. We'll have a few people probably come in. That's all right. If you do, I'm recording this so nobody will miss anything. If you would, please log into Canvas, and if you got anybody out there, they'll need to do that as well. And then I've got the meeting. Now, what will happen again, as I've said before, is I'm recording this, and then when I'm through with class today, I'll go back and process it and turn it into a YouTube video, and then I'll put it over here in the announcements area. And I believe you should have, yeah, from the Tuesday class. So that's typically how it's going to happen. And again, if you could be here, fine. If there are people who aren't able to make it, or you got to meet him, like that, we're good to go. Now, glad to see you, Trevor, and I'm going to mute your. Mute your microphone if you would, please. Thanks, and your video as well. We don't want to hear your dog or hear whatever rap music you're listening to, or country music, or music at all. Okay, so like I said, this will be all recorded. Now, I want to just very quickly go over again navigating through Canvas, because if you once you get that, that's about a third of what's going on in the course. So I want to start, first of all, the announcements is pretty simple. This is where I'm going to put things like, if you're interested, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I have virtual office hours. I did like let's see, yesterday I did was from 2 till the day before yesterday, it was from 2 till 5:30. Yesterday I had office hours, I think about an hour of office hours, or an hour and a half up here. And it's just like this. You just beam in, and I'm there, and we can have it. We could talk if you want me to show you something from the screen. So I can pretty much do anything there I can do in the office over here. Now, the other place that's important is this area called Files, and you're going to find Files. Hi, glad to have you. And if you would, please go ahead and mute your video and your sound. And again, there are going to be files in here that you're going to need for exams, all kinds of things. You're going to also see some stuff that's got the little X to it. That's because you're in my view, not a student view. So I've got things here that I've hidden off until it's time to show them, or if I'm going to use them even at all. But this files section has just about everything you need. And I want to talk for just a second here about the courses, the cases that we have in the course. You ought to have the Solve It textbook with you, okay? And that's and we've got 13 Excel cases, and then 6 Access cases, and as I said before, each one of them deals with a particular type of business problem. Now, you're going to see, if you scroll down here to the Solutions files and the Student files. The Student files are skeleton files. They'll get you started. But what I've done is I've eliminated a lot of the busy work of you just inputting data and that type of thing, so we can focus on some of the more important stuff we've got to do, and understanding the business problem that we're dealing with, and pick up a little bit of some advanced spreadsheeting skills. And then we'll do that when we work with Access as well. Now, I tend to work ahead in this class centers like today. We should have already uploaded the Guardian case. That was number 3. That's the one that had that payroll. You have that unloaded. And then we're going to look at 1 and 2. And the reason I work ahead is because I know when I hit the Access that everybody slows down, because they don't have the experience base with it. So don't get too bent out of shape about that, but you can work ahead. I've got it set up so that you can do that. Now, let's go back up here. We'll still do a little bit of navigating. You click on the syllabus, okay? It's a little bit of a misnomer, but if you want to see everything that's due and when it's due, etc., there it is, okay? The financial ratios quiz, for example, is due on the 8th, and then you've got the cases 1 and cases 2. You should have already uploaded 3. It's Guardian payroll, and as you see, we will work through these, and you can always work. You can do these quizzes in advance, okay? So if you want to know what's due, there it is, everything. Now, There's another, if you want to just look just at quizzes, there's a section in here as well that covers just that, okay? So that's not a big deal. Now the modules is really how this web page or room, if you will, is divided up. Some faculty might do it topically. I do it from a chronological basis, okay? We're in week 0, and then in this welcome area, again, I have all types of resources, including the syllabus attachment, the syllabus, a link to the supplemental website that has some stuff that you'll need when we do some work, course policies, the textbooks for the course, issues about late work, posting of grades. Let me say this, as far as posting grades, okay, I'll post a grade in Canvas, but because we're still using Jupyter, that's the official grade book, okay? And what I have to do is, post the grades here, then turn and put them over in Jupyter. Jupyter will be the official grade book for the course. We talked about this before, some resources I've got for you out there. And I have some exams. The few text, that's a big one called Show Me the Numbers, has several exams. And then you have some exams that are based upon, okay, what I've collected here in the Canvas room, as well as what's over in the supplemental website. And I want to show you that real quickly. Well, I probably should just go ahead and find it. Let's do that. Yeah. Yep. Okay, there it is. You click on that link, it'll take you out to an old Google repository where I've got all kinds of goodies, okay? Some stuff that will be of interest to you. I think I have some sample exams from days gone by. They're pretty similar to what you'll see. Other resources, some things you'll be using in some of the exams. Now, the financial ratios quiz is the first thing you've got coming up, okay? So let's talk about that for just a moment. The financial ratio quiz is drawn from two things, okay? And we'll come down here to take a look at it. I think it's the 8th that it's due. It's drawn from case number 4. So if you take a look at your book, you'll go over to page 47. It's Dabney Financial Services, okay? That's the case. And that case covers accounting ratios, okay? So I'm drawing questions from that. And then I also have some resources that are posted in the website, a supplemental website, some resources posted here. But that quiz is drawn from this. And I previewed it the other day, so I don't feel the need to do that again. But you'll want to make sure that you note that it's drawn from that. Now, we had already uploaded, or you should have uploaded, case number 3, and that was the Guardian payroll case. And that's where we had that really, really complex set of nested function. And I'm just going to go back here for a second to the files, and I'll see if I can find Guardian. If I can learn how to spell Guardian. Yeah, that would be okay. Yeah. Take the caps off of this. There you go. Now this is, I will, as I work through these, sometimes I'll kind of tinker with them and update them. So I go, well, I like that, but I prefer to do this as I walk through. So any one of those that are there, we're good to go. But this is the one that is probably in the most advanced state, excuse me. And I'm just going to download it again. There are two, it's in a file, a zip file, and it has 2 files in it. One of them is the Excel file, and the other provides you a detailed explanation of all the formulas that are in there and the approach that we took to get the rolling FICA. Now, I don't expect that even if you took this course twice, I don't believe you'd produce something like this. But I want you to see that it's a really good example of a worksheet. Now, a lot of the stuff that we're going to look at today with cases 1 and 2 is stuff you covered or should have covered in 1103, okay? And we're going to do some embellishment of them using some design principles when we put together a spreadsheet, okay? And again, a spreadsheet ought to tell a story. That's what it's intended to do. And so when we put something like that together, it should tell a story or lead us to a point where we can make a decision. And I want to talk about that for just a second. And over on page 21, 22, and 23, if you take a look at your book, they talk about spreadsheet design principles, okay? And a lot of what you may have done when you were working in 1103 or a course you might have taken somewhere else, yes?
Would you connect some dots for me?
Okay.
So case 3 should be done and uploaded.
I showed everybody the case already. Then that's how we're going to do all these cases. I'll show you how I solved it. So just upload it. Yeah. Does that help?
Upload our own version?
Well, if you want to do that, that's okay, as long as you see what I've done with it. Here's how I teach doing this. Rather than having about 19 people going, can you tell me how you did that again? Okay, and not being able to move through a case, I prefer to show you a finished product. The reason being that when you understand how to look in a spreadsheet, and it'll be the same with Access, what we call deconstructing it, that is understanding how the thing was put together, that's just as important as trying to get you to keyboard correctly and work through math and all that stuff, okay? And let me show you for a second, and we'll look at Guardian one more time. Does that help?
So I'm still a little bit confused.
Okay.
So I get what you're saying about your case. When I'm asking about uploading our own, you're saying that's okay?
Sure.
So what do you want?
Either one is fine. If you want to take a stab at it and try it, I'm fine with that. Okay. Here's the point. All right. I'm not going to go through and go, you should have had that in cell G73. Okay. If you could do these, you'd be teaching the course, or you wouldn't be taking the course. So I want to show you a finished product, and this moves us progressively through these spreadsheet cases, and we're also linking in a business problem. Okay. So I'll show you how it's solved, how it's related to. We'll go by each one of those cases. If you want to take a stab at it and upload it, feel free to do so. Okay? So I won't take off if you don't. If you just don't put anything in there, you won't get the points. It's like a workshop. Yes?
So you said that you've given them to us in a solved format and like a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
What you said.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So in order to turn that in, what further solving do we need to do? Or do we just...
If you want, really usually nothing unless I maybe do a little embellishment or something like that. These are kind of it works in progress. I might see something like in case 4, I go, well, I would have put that table on different data. You'll see on one of these cases today where we could do some additional columns and things of that nature. And that, and again, I don't care. The case part, these cases are like a workshop. I'm going to show you how I would do them, okay? I might tweak them a little bit. If you want to take a shot at it and upload your work, that's fine. Does that make sense? Yes?
So if we don't take a shot at it,
You'll upload whatever I show you as the key and say, hey, upload this.
all right.
Yeah. So like Guardian case number 3. Let's look at it again. We'll talk about it real. Because I'm more interested in you understanding than I am in you working with keystrokes or trying to kind of figure out, because I'll just show you. I always like to whoops, I don't want to do that. I want to download this. I always like to show everybody, here's a really good example of a spreadsheet that there are a few people who would do this. Now this is Guardian. It's a payroll register with rolling FICA. And it has a counter set up so that as we go through month by month, FICA has to be taken out of the paycheck Social Security, and there's a cap. Now, if you notice over here, you're going to see, if you look up here, in this would be row 14, and if you come over to cell D14, you're going to see that's the cap in dollar terms that they'll take out of someone's pay. Okay? If you make $1 or $1 billion, $94,200 is the maximum amount they'll take out. Okay? With me so far? There's a surcharge of 7%, and we keep charging the 7.5%, excuse me, till we hit the 94,000 bucks. Right now, with these employees, we're at the starting gate with January. That's month number 1. And then we'll click in here. And this is month number 2. And you'll see the FICA. Now, when I come up to month 9, you'll see a lot of these people have dropped out. They're not paying FICA because they've already maxed out the cap, the 94 grand. With me? Okay. So then it's just a matter of, we go, okay, well, we got some lower paid employees, and we'll look at month 10. And then, of course, the counter there is, we'll look at month 11. And then we'll look at month 12. Okay? So we have one person at January who will still need to take out $599 to meet their FICA. It's 7.5% of the person's salary, a maximum cap of $94,200. Now, I really don't believe that within 3 weeks anybody's going to give me this. If you did, you can come teach the course, and I'll be at home. Call me when it's time to turn in the grades. Or you shouldn't be taking the course in the first place. But what I want to show you, and any of these that you upload, you can keep them for yourself as a template in the event that you might need them. Okay? Because I'm more interested in kind of building your understanding of this. Now, Guardian Payroll involves more than just doing this type of spreadsheet. It also involves us understanding that an employer has to match stuff like federal tax, state tax, they've got to take out Social Security, if there's insurance that's charged, all of those things. The point being that an employer, when they hire you, makes more of an investment in you than just your salary. There's the fringe that comes along with it, okay? And the fringe benefits for an average professional employee, depending on what they make, runs somewhere between 14 and 18%. So if you're an employer and you have somebody making 100 grand, you have another 18,000 bucks you pay as an employer for your matching taxes. Okay. And if you work in any state, you have to have money put aside for unemployment. They take that out. Most states, if not all of them. And then if you have insurance, your employer might match your insurance, etc. But I want to show you this, so we'll just real quickly. And this is again a good example. And they say, so I should upload this for case number 3. Yes. If you want to try something on your own and do it, I'm good to go. Okay. The only thing that'll happen is there'll be a 0 if you don't turn something in. Yes.
So this is just to show, when we upload it, just to show you that.
Yeah. And you could do that one of 2 ways. You could be like, no, because I'm showing. So I said I handle these like a workshop. Okay. And here's the reality of when you go out in the real world and you're working. Okay, what you're going to find is you'll be probably working with some kind of proprietary tool that is maybe SAS, SAP, Oracle, or something like this. You may be using Excel, okay, but you'll be using in something probably pre-formatted for you, whatever. And we're going to run through all of these different functions in Excel that are there and features and things. But I'm really going to focus on, okay, what business problem are we trying to describe here, okay? And then number 2, what are some ways that we should design the spreadsheet? The big textbook, the Stephen Few textbook, Show Me the Numbers. If you start going through it, and those exams are all open book, he really focuses on what? Visual acuity, visual literacy, presenting the data in a way that people understand and understanding what you see. Because throughout your life, you're going to see charts and tables and all that stuff. You may be asked to put it into some kind of discernible fashion. because all this is designed to help us make decisions. Now, again, this, and if you want to follow along over on page 22, this is a good time to show you. This spreadsheet shows you, utilizes very, very good design principles. Now, so what do you mean? Well, if you look over there on page 22, you're going to see that there are the following parts of a spreadsheet. And if you would, you hit and mute, okay? Yeah, mute your microphones, because I don't want to hear your dog or your wash or whatever. Now, the bottom line is, first of all, we have a title section. Okay, what's the name of it? What do we call this thing? And then secondly, there's the documentation that is who created it, when it was created, does it have any macros and some things in it like the range and stuff like that, so that we understand who put this together and what's in it. Okay. Then there's a third area called the assumptions area, and in here, in the salmon colored area, are all of the assumptions we're working with. When I change one of those cells, it impacts the whole spreadsheet. For example, the counter. Okay. And so this is an important thing to understand, because when I have and I use cell linking cells properly and doing it in an effective fashion, this spreadsheet becomes something that's more than just a dead bunch of numbers sitting here. I can literally see what things would look like if certain things happen. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that, for example, Medicare, okay, instead of 1.5% goes to 2.5%. What happens? Well, we'll see that what? It changes the Medicare withholding. So I can use this to say, all right, they're talking about raising Medicare, so I'll just put in a new assumption number and it changes the spreadsheet. You follow me? Okay. Now, when you go to work, you can have people who will give you things called dashboards. And a dashboard is just really, usually it's going to be a screen of some set of measures that are important for your department, your business. It just depends on what level you're at, okay? And like I said before, when I go and work with clients, it drives them crazy when I go, okay, tell me, what are the 5 things you need to know today? Well, what are the 5 things? Because most companies have about 3 to 5 things they have to know. If they don't know what's going on with those 3 to 5 things, they may not know what's going on with their business, okay? So that's part of the experiential factor that comes in when you work in a company. But now, I've also got some notes in here for you to take a look at, okay? And here's the second piece of the design. Notice that I have it in a certain color. So I'm leading the end user's eyeballs down a path. And that first is the salmon color. Those are the assumptions. And that's 1.45 actually. So just go back, revert that. Okay. And then this area in here, the purple, okay, this is what we would call the computation and output area. Okay? And notice what's happening. I've got it moved over a little bit because people in our culture, Western culture, tend to read down and left to right. So we're directing their eyeballs. Now I have you go through the Stephen Few text. That's that great big text with all those charts and stuff, so you can understand how to take certain types of data and depict them, okay? And also how to catch when there's a mistake in a chart or when a chart grossly overstates. Let me give you an example. If I was to go over to Yahoo Finance and pull up Apple, okay? If I looked at their intraday trading chart, trading by the hour as reported, it's going to look all really choppy. If I take a year out, I'm going to get a smoother curve. If I go 5 years, an even smoother look. If I go 10 years, and even, because I'm stretching the canvas. Got me? So so one of the reasons I have that text in there is to get you alerted to that type of thing, so you're understanding what you're seeing. Okay? There are going to be times when people use a pie chart, when they use bar charts. There will be times when people will use a linear trend. We'll work with those a little bit when they really shouldn't be. But this is, again, this is a really, really well-designed spreadsheet. Now, we've got the input area, pardon me, the calculation and output area. And then we come down to this FICA table. And we have to use it because it's a rolling number on the FICA. Remember, we take out 7.5% of a person's pay till they hit $94,200. So you'll see some of the formulas. Now, let's talk about another thing. I've got a lot of explanations in here. They're for me as much as they are for you. And if you go and you do a presentation for a client, for example, don't just trust that you'll remember and know what to do. Use notepads. You can insert those. You could insert a text file in here, but have things that will explain where you got the data. You might even want to have, if you got it from a website or something, a universal a URL, so that boom, they can click it and go see. Oh, yes, we got the data. Okay, because it's intended to communicate something. Now, what it communicates here is how much cash do we pay out every payday. That's net pay. Okay, and we have some other totals of what we've got to pay the government in terms of Medicare, FICA, withholding taxes, etc. Now, an employer usually doesn't have to pay taxes except on a quarterly basis, but you better do them right. If they're not done correctly, the IRS gets very nasty with you. Individual taxpayers, okay, they're in, but a business, no. So you want to know, okay, we do some cash flow planning. So this has those elements. Now, let's start to kind of dig down a little bit deeper. And there are two pieces in an Excel file, okay? You've got the display area, that's all in these cells, and then you have the formula bar, okay? With me so far? All right. Now, let's look at this for just a minute. Here's group health. And it's using a cell referencing pattern back to an absolute, to an assumption area. Notice it says equal B16. Okay? And B16 is the monthly health insurance, and it's $100. Now, notice what we did here with the cell referencing. We put a $ in front of the row, which is the letter, the column, and a $ in front of the row, which is the number. Okay, so we use cell referencing, and we build a chain. We'll see this. We'll do this several times. If you get cell referencing and understand it, trust me, it will save your bacon. Now, notice what we've got here. We click on net pay, and we use the sum function there for everything from I-23 over to O-23. Let's click on cumulative earnings for this first employee. And notice I've got a formula. And it's H23 times D16. D16 is an pure absolute cell reference because D16 is up here in the assumptions area. Okay? But pardon me, it's down here in the computation area. This person makes, okay, they make $120,000 a year. Now, their cumulative earnings are going to be for month by month, January plus, and we're starting at January, so it would be 1 times this number, okay, divided by 12. So we're doing some chaining of them. You'll notice there's E24 divided by 12. And that gives us the monthly gross pay. Got it? This area is extremely important because it allows you, if you need to customize or look at scenarios of data, okay? Because a spreadsheet, when it works well, lets me see alternative outcomes. So if I want to see where we'll be in cash flow at month 11, at month 10, because I want to give everybody I want to give everybody a bonus, okay? Okay. And, they're waiting on to get a bonus so they can build their swimming pool, make their family happy, not some stupid fruitcake. Otherwise, they have to send their really strange cousin to go find the owner of the company. You know those, you know your movies. It'll start clocking in on it. Anyway, we've got, well, we can know what our net pay would be for the month of October. So if we wanted to plan cash flow, we could. Okay. Now let me show you one of these that's a little bit more of a challenge. Here's the FICA. Click on cell E23. All right. Let's click on it. And let's look at the, and see if there's anything that we've got over here in the formula bar. And notice it says it equals E39, excuse me. So let's go down to E39. We're doing a cell referencing. And E39 should be right here. And here is the formula. Now, this uses what we call a nested formula, a nested conditional statement. Equal if, and then it says the word and. So we want two conditions to be satisfied. If they're not, then we do something else. And then we check to see, is it the figure that we end up with, is it the maximum of a certain figure? Is it the minimum of a certain figure? And that's why I have a Word document that walks you through it step by step by step. Okay? Now, trust me, this one's a whopper. Okay? It's a whopper. And that's why I gave you that zip file so you can go take a look at this, okay? And then you can also go look at the English human being version as we talk about it. Now, one of the things that would help us here if we use the name manager, and we'll see how we can use that to take a cell or set of, or an array of cells, give it a name, and go from there. Okay? That help? This is a really, really good example of what a spreadsheet ought to be able to do. The only thing that's lacking here would be to take these data and chart them, depict them visually. I don't know what good it would do for us because it's a payroll register, and we can see the bottom line every single time. And we have an assumptions area, so if we want to play around with scenarios, we can do that. Let's say, for example, that the Congress, in their wisdom, instead of making FICA 94 grand, they say, let's do this. Let's make FICA, well, for your age group, 150,000 bucks. God bless America. Keep paying Social Security. It will be there for you. Trust me. It's waiting on you. Health care for all. It'll be there for you. Just trust us. Okay? I remember when I was your age, and we were going to change the world. Boy, we didn't. It is apparently not for the better. Okay? In a lot of ways. Some ways for the better, other ways not. Anyway. Again, and then we have the FICA for the monthly gross. So we're able to do that for each of the monthly grosses using the cell referencing. And you'll see that as it plays out as you go down the row in the table. Okay? So if you wanted to see the gold standard or something, or what's a really good example of a spreadsheet, that's what this is. And I'd say upload it so you get the points, and then keep the thing and look at it and look at the explanations and kind of get a feeling of it, play around with it a little bit. You won't break it. Okay? Now, I would not expect you to give me this in 3 weeks or 16 weeks. I really wouldn't, because it's got some pretty complex stuff in it. Okay, so that's what you'll upload over in what's due for XLS3. Any questions? Is this helping? Okay. Now, I'm more about you understanding things than I am on going, you didn't use the ugliest shade of yellow in cell B15. That's, I don't know what good that's doing you. And this is business problem analysis. So what we're here to do is to say, okay, how can I use some of these tools to provide, how can I use these tools, Excel and Access or a spreadsheet and a database, to solve or depict some business problems. Now let's go back up to the modules for a minute. And I want to show you something here. And we'll scroll down. I might have shown you guys the other day, but I think it's just so instructive that you see this. Here you go. This is a thing I think I showed you the other day, but I can't emphasize enough. This is I'm going to download the file. This is called Anscombe's Quartet. Now, you'll notice here, you've got 4 sets of data. Okay? And you see the data X, Y, X, Y, which means that somebody believes or suspects that these are linear data. In other words, they're related to each other. When one goes up, the other goes up, or one goes down, the other goes down. The other goes up. Linear trend data. That's why they have the XY. So there's assumption. Now let's notice let's look at the data, and they all have the same mean. They have the same variance, and they have the same correlation. This is just a smidgen off. I'd say, okay, I'm looking at 4 sets of data that are, yeah. When I'm out at work and you're out at work, and people give you, they're not going to give you, when they give you, say, okay, our profit this year was $600,000. They're not going to sit down and go, well, here's where we made it. Let's say we got 600 grand. Then over time, you'll look at it. So you're going to see a lot of data in summary fashion. Okay? This will show you the fallacy of that if you're not really paying attention, or you don't say, okay, I need to take these data and maybe chart them. Here's set 1. Okay? Here's set 2. A little bit different. This has more of a concave or convex dimension. This one looks more linear. And this one, same data, same summary statistics. But when I chart them, very, very different. So that's why building your visual acuity, your what I would call your recognition of the signatures of some data is very important. Okay, so that one's what. Now, there in Anscombe wrote a book, an article, and it was published. This thing is back all the way back from 1973 in the American Statistician, where he said, we're developing all these tools that enable us to crunch numbers, but we still haven't figured out how to take those data and make them meaningful, depict them in a way that a person can look at them, and depict them in a way or present them in a way that we can make a decision. Why collect all the data? Why process it? Why work? Because I have to make a decision. Got me? Now, I'll tell you, the people who do this the very, very best are folks who are meteorologists. Think of all the people that they broadcast to, ranging from certain folks to other folks who just understand, okay, well, it's real red in there. That's a bad spot, and it's coming out my way. Damien said so. Head to the shelter now. Okay, or other people who are over on NOAA or somewhere clicking out and watching while the tornado hits their house because they're so engrossed. It may even have an outdoor camera. Hey, there's a tornado. Well, I'm in Oklahoma City now, but I remain an honorary moron. I was a moron for a long time. Lived there, and one of my neighbors had a video cam out because he was a weather freak like I am, and here comes the tornado. And he's just live streaming the thing when he was down in the shelter, live streaming. I'm going, good for you. Enjoy. We have to be able to present data in a way that people understand it and also helps us make a decision. Okay, so there's that. Now let me show you again, just to emphasize this to you. This is from John Snow and his legendary work. This is back in the 1850s, if not, yeah, mid 1850s. And if you smudge it, there he is. Again, in the big cities at that time, indoor plumbing was rare, okay? So the way people got water into their home to boil it, etc., was that the city would have a water pump there, which was also the fire hydrant. And Lenderman was having a cholera outbreak, and so Snow was the first person we know of who said, okay, I think I'll take a map of the city and I'm going to start to put dots everywhere somebody is sick. And voila, we know that there's one thing that threads these people all together. They use that water. Okay? And this is one of the things that's important because we use mapping or visual depictions of data. Our ability to do that really does help us in terms of our decision making. Okay? So we got that done. Now, let's go over here to the modules area. All right? And I want to get us started with cases number 1 and cases number 2. All right? Now, notice that I have, before I forget, resources for the exams are in this PDF. This is down at the bottom of that welcome module. And then here I have a document called Tyler that shows you where to find XLS1 and XLS2, okay, when they're due. Okay? And you can do that, or you can go to files. You're also going to find some files up here. As I've tweaked around with them, worked with them, so, oh gosh, this would look a lot better. So let's go, let's take a look at this Excel. Let's go into the files area, excuse me, real quick. We're on files, okay? And we're going to go down to the Solvit student files, and I'll show you what I meant by, or what I mean by when I talk about the skeleton files. Here are the student files, and let's download them. That's it. They're in a zip file. Okay? And there are all these different names of these files, and the very first case is whistle cleaners. Okay? And so we can scroll down here and we'll look at it. Let's open it up. Okay? Now whistle cleaners has, this is a prospect tracking log. Okay, so we have a log where who are these people? How do we contact them? When did we contact them? Should we contact them again? Okay, and the whistle cleaners case starts over on page 25 in your textbook. Let me talk about how the authors will lay this out for you. The authors will give you at the top of page 25 the problem, some of the spreadsheeting skills that you're going to use, okay, the type of management decisions you're making, and then they'll start to tell you some information about the company, okay? Then once they've done that, they'll come down and you see at the bottom of page 26, they'll give you some tasks. There are 5 tasks that they tell you that they want you to create some column headings, okay? Then they want to make sure they're appropriately wide, a lot of trivia stuff, and then add in some more data, blah, 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 okay? In my mind, having you do that is just basically, a lot of that is a waste of your time. It's just inputting data to create it before you've ever done anything with it. So to save you some time, okay, I've got some files for you, and we'll look at the solution file, okay? And you're going to see that. I'll download it. All right. Okay, let's see here. I want to solve it. Did I do that? No, I've got an XLS one around here. Oh, on the solution files. I wonder if I might have just put the oh, I don't want that. All right. Okay, yeah, I did that. I'm sorry. I just threw all the Excel in there. That's all right. Let's go back up into the modules area, and we'll find that XLS1. Let's go up there. And we'll look at it. Here's the solution file. All right. I'm going to download whistle cleaners. All right. Now, in terms of what the authors want from you, okay, is basically this. Making the columns look pretty, okay? Putting in an email address, the date that they were called, and should you follow up, is it necessary to follow them up or not? So if you've done that at that point, you've just done a lot of input of data, okay? So what's the understanding part of this? Well, First of all, what we're doing here is we're treating Excel like a database. Why? Because this is just simply a listing of our customers. Okay? That's well organized. It's nicely put together. It has the title area. It has the documentation. Then it has this tracking log. Now, I don't recall as I looked through the case what drove us to do a follow-up. I think it's anything later than, anything later than June 26th, we contact them. So this is okay. Now, if I had 1,000 of these, I'm going to have them in a database. But since we've got it, we're done in here, this lets us do a little bit of work with formatting and kind of getting a spreadsheet organized, which is wonderful. So let's do this. First of all, put your cursor over there on row 8, okay? And let's come over to the fill color, all right? And I want to put in a nice blue fill. Why? Because I'm going to direct the readers or the end user's eyeballs down, just like a book has a chapter and headings, and then maybe a bold start of a paragraph. We do the same thing to direct the end user's eyeballs. With me? Because the key part is going to be this right here. Who do we need to follow? Now, we can make it look a little prettier as well. What I'm going to do is come back down here, down to row 21, and I'm going to highlight row 21. I'm going to highlight all the way over here to column G, and I'm putting the same fill. Now I've built a table. It has a bottom and a top. It has a title or a header, and then it directs the person's eyeballs right here. Okay? Now, if we want to make it a little bit easier to read, we can do this, because we have a subheading right here. Company, first name, last name, etc. So what I would do is I'd come right here on row 10. Okay? Now we're just doing some format, but we're going to make it look good, and I'm going to put a thick box border around that. Now you see here's the log, then a subtitle. Each of these variables or these dimensions: the company, who's the first and last name of the contact, their phone number, an email address, the date they were called, should we follow up, yes or no. Now again, this is not that big of a deal, but if you had 1,000 of these, as we get into Access, you'll go, yeah, I put that in a database because that's really what it's designed to do. But the authors have some stuff for us, to simplistic stuff like, how widen the columns and use the fill. You should have that already. Okay. Now we have a picture here, and if we want to, we can do this. I'm going to come down over here I'm going to start in column G. Okay, I'm going to go to G11, and I'm going to highlight all of that, and I'm going to put those data in the center. Why? I don't want this thing to look cluttered. Okay, I'm going to come to the date called. Okay, and I'm going to put them in the center. The telephone, I could squinch this column out a little bit more, and I've got everybody else off to the left. Good enough? But you see the important data, I've got them really hammered out here because I have them centered. With me? Now, there's something else I can do with this, the yeses. Okay, let's put your cursor on G11 and scroll all the way down to G19. Do G11 to G19. Okay? And then click on conditional formatting, and you'll get a little dialog box or a drop-down tree, and we want to highlight the cells, and we're going to come down to text that contains. If it says no, we want a light fill with red text, but we're really interested in those who need to be followed up, so we're going to put yes. And what we just did was a conditional statement that said if the word yes is in there, we want this fill and this font to grab our eyeballs and go, hey, we need to call these people. Okay? A conditional formatting is a fantastic tool. We can do a lot of things with it, and we'll see. We can even create little charts with it. I like it because a person's eye will go red. Okay, I got to contact these people. Now, the decision rule, the one thing that's lacking here would be the decision rule in terms of, okay, how far out should it be when we call somebody? Well, we've stopped at July 26th. And you'll notice everybody past July 26th, what? Gets called. If you look at these dates and see, it's July 23rd, June 13th, and then July 26th, then July 29th, which is greater than July 26th. June 27th is a yes. That doesn't fall in there, so that's a strange one. So we've got something else in our decision rule we need to work on. 1st of July. So if I had this, now one of the flaws already in this is, okay, how did I decide if they need follow-up? Because I thought erroneously, well, it was on how long it's been since I contacted them. But it's not. It works a little bit. So there may be some other trigger that does that. And I would want to have a note in here that says, okay, maybe it's based on how long it's been since they did a sale with us. You with me? But this was just to do some formatting and that type of thing, play around with it a little bit. And yeah. Now, another formatting issue is take your cursor and go on F11 down to F19. Okay? Then go up in the middle, in the number tab, this is a date, and click number. You say, why does it matter? The display of the date, in terms of a date a human understands, is fine. The computer reads numbers. But if I format these as numbers, okay, I can take today's date and make it a number and say, okay, how long is it from that date to today? Or some date that I have. Then I can do a little bit of computation. It's just simply a matter of using that format to do so. I will go back to the date. I got the short date, which is fine. Okay? Not any big deal. Now, let's take a look and let's go through this. Now we have this out. I want to show you what to do so you don't run into a problem. Click on Save As. Okay? Click on Computer, Browse, and let's go up and put this in your desktop, on your desktop. Why? If you don't save this to your desktop, the system will assume this is some kind of rogue file or potentially dangerous file, and you'll have problems. So it's better just to go ahead and get it down to your, load it to your desktop. And we'll go down there for a second, and we'll find the file. And I might even do as much as rename it. And I could make that Whistle Cleaners I could put Harmon. Okay? So I've got that done. I want to rename you Whistle Cleaners A1. I may have that file already on here. I may have saved it. Yeah, I'm going to put Harmon. Okay. Okay, it's open in desktop. All right. Then I'll just close it. Okay, now we're ready to do an upload. I want to show you that. Some of you may have uploaded some work if you had a course with me before you've done it. Those among you who have not, we will do this. So I'm going to close this off for just a second. Okay, and I'll just go back over here. And I'm going to change my settings so I'm in the student view. because right now I am in instructor view, and I'll go to student view. Okay. And then I'm going to go over to the area called, I'll either go to the syllabus or I'll go into the modules. The syllabus to upload the work will probably be easier. And I'm going to come over here and I'll see upload XLS1 here. Okay. Click on that. Okay. And then I'll see a little submit assignment button. All right. And I can click that. And it's going to have it say choose the file. Got it? Now, here's something important to remember. Until this assignment closes off, you can upload and re-upload as often as you want. Okay? So you say, well, you say, I think I'll play around with it. I didn't like that version. That's fine. Or if you say, well, here's your key, but I'm going to try it on my own and see what I can do with it. As long as you're up to the point where you haven't hit the due date and time, you're good. So I'm going to choose my file. Okay. I'll go to the desktop and I'm going to find Whistle Cleaners, open it up, and I'll submit it. If I want to resubmit it or add another file, I can do it. Okay? Not any big deal. Now I'm going to leave this here for just a second, all right? And I'm going to go back into the instructor view because I want to talk about case number 2. It's got a little bit more meat to it. All right? So click on modules, pardon me. Yeah, click on modules. And go back up into the welcome area. It's got all these different resources. And let's find case number 2. And if we don't have it, we'll mess with it. Here's the solution file for it. And let's just go ahead and download it. It's Athena Beauty. And Athena Beauty is another one of these where we kind of build on some skill sets. Now we do some computation. Athena Beauty products. Okay? Did you find it? Now, as usual, the authors have an algorithm. They tell us the problem, the management skills, the Excel skills we're going to use. And this is a company that's trying to look at the effectiveness of its e-commerce site. Okay? And so they tell us some more about the company. And then if you look at the bottom of page 35, well, bottom of page 35, they define who's a visitor, okay, who is a shopper, who's an attempted buyer. Because these are people who come and they walk you through the progression of a sale. People just don't buy, they buy some things impulsively, but usually there's a decision. And on e-commerce sites, especially there is, okay? You got the person who just comes over and visits, they look around, they click on a link or two, something. Then we have somebody who starts to really be serious about choosing something. Then we have somebody who sticks something in their cart, their online cart. Now they have an attempted buyer. Now, if they bug out on you or empty the cart, okay. But if they go through and pay you, you have a buyer. The source then is, okay, who sent me these people? Because I'm a landing page for people coming from these different websites. So they show us the source over here, and that's over here, these different companies, okay? And the authors then, at the bottom of page 36, and at the bottom of page 36, they say there are 5 tasks, and they walk you through, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And a lot of it entails a lot of input of data, okay? Now, follow the logic of what I've got here for you. Here I have the visitors. Where are they from? Well, I've got the number from Fashionista, etc., and I have a total. So just to make this look a little bit better, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come in. I'm going to click up here on source. I'm going to click copy, format painter, and I'm going to paint that to close off that table. Okay? Now, another thing I want to do with this is come over here to cell H, and I want to make it a percentage. And then I want to take and put it to the left. In fact, go up to cell H10, highlight all the way down to H22, and let's put them in the center. So, oh, okay. I'm going to do the same thing with the visitors who purchased those percentages, because these are important data and I want them highlighted, and I do that by centering them. Okay, now I want to center these two bottom ones here as well. So I have percentages, I have them centered. And I'll go ahead and center those data. Here's another thing that needs to be converted to a percentage. You can see we're just doing just some of that work. We haven't really come to the point yet where we want to be, and we'll center that. Now, what we have is a data table that gives us some figures, okay? And let's look at this for just a minute. I'll go ahead and put this cell 24, I might put that in percentage so we get everything looking uniform. Now notice the process, and this is the business problem that we're talking about. Here we have the number of people who visited. Okay, here we have the number of people who shopped. Okay, they went around the website, clicked on some stuff, looked at it. Okay, what percentage of those visitors, okay, were converted to shoppers? Somebody that just didn't hit one link and take off and go somewhere else. Follow me? Because we're winnowing down to that percentage of people who end up being buyers. Now, I've got the next is going to be attempted buyers. And then I want to get the percentage of shoppers who converted to attempted buyers. So they were shoppers, they were visitors, then they progressed to shopping. And now I want to know, okay, out of them, what percentage became shoppers? With me so far? And then I have the buyers, and then I have the attempted buyers who purchased. They actually made a purchase. This kind of follows what we call the Markov rule, and that is where people will tend, as they make a purchase, to go through a series of steps. And really astute sales organizations walk you right through those steps. Go buy a car next time and think about what I'm telling you, because you'll see them take you through a definitive series of steps, and the final end is you end up in the finance officer's thing, and they're running numbers and asking information about where you work, all that stuff. Now you're a buyer. And then comes a negotiating period, because you either have credit that will suffice, get you a payment you're comfortable with, or you don't. Who knows? Now, they know if they get you to the finance office, they've got you hooked. Where they throw the hook out with a real pretty lure is what? The test drive. The test drive. I bought a vehicle, and the guy said, you know, do you realize that people on Safari drive this vehicle? And Mike goes, really? And I'm going, yeah, okay. So do people on Ford pickup trucks. But that's another story, isn't it? But I could see that whole progression. So it's the same with e-commerce. People go to sites and they'll look around, they'll put stuff in a cart, then they'll buy. So we have some data here, okay? Now we've got a question. Which of these sources is the most valuable? And that's where we try to put these into some type of perspective. And so we take the visitors who purchased that percentage, who just showed up one day and they ended up buying something, 6%, 5%, etc. Now I want to depict these, and I can put them in some type of a table or whatever. And this is pretty simplistic. I might have 1,000 of these. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to start here at I-10, scroll all the way down, okay, to I-22, and I'm going to use our old friend of conditional formatting. But this time I'm going to use color scales. And I'm going to use the color scales. Let's see, I'm going to use the color scales where I go green, yellow, red. Why? Because we've all been trained to recognize green is go, yellow is caution, red is stop. Got it? If I want to be cool, I could do data bars, like a gradient fill, but that doesn't really tell me anything. Who should I be concerned about? Boom. And now I can say anybody who's red, I definitely either want to get rid of them or go and talk to them about why am I not getting more traffic from your site, or eliminate them. Okay? There are any one of a number of things we could do with this. We've used just some conditional formatting. Sometimes simpler is better. We could also put these data and do a sort with them if we wanted to. And so let's go back up to the conditional formatting, and we'll go to the color, and let's see, edit, clear the rules from the selected cells. We'll select these cells and we'll clear the rules. Okay? These are just the little baby cases, just to get us started. Now, I'm going to do a sort with this. Take your cursor and put it on A9, and we're going to go all the way in the array from A9 down to J22. Got it? Now we're jumping ahead a little bit, but that's okay, because we'll come back and we'll visit this. Now we're going to use, other than a Microsoft Solver, the most powerful tool in Excel, because it gives me all the advantages of a database and the advantages of a spreadsheet. I'm going to click Insert, Pivot Table. Okay? You get the Pivot Table dialog box, and I selected the cell range. Okay? And I want to put them in a new worksheet. Now, if I want, I can begin to mix and match these variables and see how things look. Okay? I have as many bits of data as there are what we would call the categorical or the dimensional data, and that's those websites, versus the measure data, that's the numbers. So I can go ahead and drag and drop these down, and I'll do those by source, and I'm going to put the source into rows. So I'll click on that. I've got them in rows, and then I'm going to put the visitors who purchased percentage. And I'm going to put that in the values. Okay, and we have a percentage here for this, so we'll just go ahead and clean that up. And we'll make it back in, and we'll click Home, and we'll go back, and we'll put it into a percentage look. Pardon me, not dollars, but percentages. And if I want to be, I can add some decimal points in if I care to do that. But the pivot table, I can do all kinds of things. I can throw this into a column, and it's designed to that. We'll have a case where we'll work with pivot table and work with it exclusively. Okay? This is case number 2. So again, Athena Beauty, you ought to upload it. And you'll have done 1 and 2. Which next Tuesday will let us start on Dabney Financial Services, which is working with the accounting ratios. Okay? But there's out of this one little, the payroll thing is one thing, that case number 1, whistle cleaners, the contact stuff is another. This case number 2, okay, you know, where we're working with Athena Beauty products and we're working with their e-commerce site, starts to move us into how I take these data, present them, and use them to make a decision. Now, earlier when I did the conditional formatting and those reds popped up, that would be a signal of me to say, hey, this is an account. I need to get a hold of these people. Okay? Or even better is look at those links that were green, those cells that were green, and go, what kind of, call those folks and go, what's the profile of your customer? Because obviously I'm offering something that they like. I probably, if I have an authentic e-commerce site, I'm probably collecting data behind the scenes that knows who those folks are. Does that make sense? All right. So go ahead and upload XLS 1 and 2. You got those done. We've done 3, and we'll start on case number 4, which is going to be the financial ratios, and we'll start on that on Tuesday. Okay. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And again, I'll convert this over to a YouTube video, upload it in the announcements area in the event that you missed something. And Of course, always email me if you have a question. Thanks a lot, everybody.